Hello and welcome to Practical Serverless. This is part one of a series. My name is Jared, and today we're going to pull data from an API, create an email template, send the email template to ourselves, and then finally profit. So if you want to learn something about serverless, stick around. Without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our files. So head over to the command line, serverless, create, pass a template, AWS Node.js, and also pass a path because we want to create a directory along with the files, not put the files in the current working directory. So we'll call this SLS chuck email. Easy enough. And if we look at our files, sure enough, there it is. Change dir SLS chuck email. All right, let's check out what we got in our folder structure. So we've got a getignore file, which is pretty standard. We've got a handler, which is a standard function, just an async function. It's going to kick out some stuff, blah, blah, blah. And we have serverless.yaml, and this is where all the logic is for how it's going to deploy it. So we'll get more deep into that in a minute. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to invoke that function. Let's go check it out. Oops. Let's go check it out. So if we invoke this function, it should return a body, JSON, etc., etc. So let's do that. Serverless invoke local-f for function. Hello. And as you can see, we got what we returned. Now we're going to deploy it. I have my AWS credentials all set up. You can check out the first video in this series on how to do that. But we're just going to run SLS deploy. Now, I don't know about you, but the first time I did this, I was like, where did this thing go? Well, if we check out our AWS Management Console, head over to Lambda and applications. Here we go. Chuck email dev. This is the resources it's using. It created a function, a log group, and a deployment bucket. So this is our function. And this is all the information about it. So let's check it out, make sure that it worked. So let's invoke, get rid of the local this time. Boom. All right, let's get to actually writing some code. So open up our serverless.yaml file. We're going to go down to functions, and we're going to add a function right here. We're going to call it send email. The handler we're going to use is going to be email handler dot send email. Now we haven't made that yet, so let's save this and let's make a new file. So copy the current node. We're going to call it email handler.js. And let's open that. And down here in the message, let's do email sent. Also make sure you change the function name to the right thing. So to quickly recap, we added a function. Function name is send email, and we created a handler, the email handler, and send email. So over here, we're exporting a function named send email that says email sent. So if we do this, invoke local-f, send email, email sent, email sent. Awesome. So in my journeys across the internet, I ran across this friggin' sweet API, which will grab random Chuck Norris jokes. So that's what we're going to be using. Look at that sweet dancing guy. That's what we're going to be using for this exercise. So head back over here. We're going to be using a native function set called fetch. So let's do this. I'm just going to make a little comment. Grab the joke. All right. Const response equals await. See up top, right above it, there's an async portion. We're going to do fetch. And within fetch, it's going to need an API. So we're going to do https api.chucknorris.io. And according to API docs, if you do this, it will give you a random one. All right, and then because how fetch works, we've got to convert it to JSON. Otherwise, it gives us the whole response object, which is handy, but not what we want right now. Await response.json, and then down here in the we're going to do this. Joke.value. So let's check out if it works. SLS invoke local function send email. And we got ourselves a Chuck Norris joke. Once Chuck Norris took the old dirt road, unfortunately he turned it into a 6-lane superhighway. Ha 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 ha. Now before we get too far into this, let's talk about environment variables. So obviously, when we start sending emails, we're probably going to be hitting an API of our own that's going to have secret keys. We don't want to just put those out on the internet, commit it to our GitHub or anything like that. So there's a way to handle that. And it's based on the stages. So the stages that I talked about in my first video on dev and prod, that'll come in handy when we're talking about the secrets. First thing we got to do is we've got to add a environment.yaml file. So go back over here, add a child node, env.yaml, and make sure that we add it to our gitignore. As you can see, it's in there. Oops. So let's open it up. So here we're going to have our various stages. So add the in variables for the various stages. So we're going to have a production stage, and in there's going to be a mail host. Right now we'll just leave that blank, and oops, we're going to have a mail port. We'll just leave that at 2525 for now. We're going to have a mail user. Those are going to be blank. Mail password going to be blank. And then let's just copy that whole thing. Oops. There we go. Dev. All right. And then we'll leave that blank for now. So next we're going to go back over to our serverless.yaml, and this is how we're going to configure the stage in the environment. So right after here, now it defaults to dev, so we don't really have to do that, but we're going to put it in there anyways. Now for the environment, we're going to add those same ones from over here. So let's just yank that. Okay, so paste that in there, and then whoop, Now bear with me because this gets a little long. So open up a bracket. We're going to load a file, which is environment.yaml. And then in that file, we're going to use the stage, and then we're going to use mail host. And really all that's saying is that reach into this file and then use this stage, which is defined right here, and then use that variable. So we can basically just copy this. And now our environment variables should be accessible at us through the runtime, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So what I'm going to be using to send the emails is first going to be NodeMailer, which is just a module for Node.js applications to allow easy as cake email sending, and can contend to that. I use it in a couple of my production apps, and it works great. To test the emails, I'm going to use Mailtrap, just because it's super easy. It doesn't require you to set up your own server. The free tier is more than enough for what you're going to be using. So take this opportunity now to go sign up for an account. So in order to use NodeMailer, we had to install it, and we haven't done it yet, but we're going to init a npm project. Just click yes to ignore all the prompts. npm install NodeMailer. Super fast. Now that we got NodeMailer installed, let's go ahead and add our API keys for Mailtrap. So head over to Mailtrap, click on your demo inbox, and then on this front page, it's going to tell you how to set up the transport. So go ahead and grab your user and your pass and your port and go ahead and throw them into your environment.yaml. Now that that's done, let's go head over to the email handler and let's write some freaking code already. All right, so const NodeMailer equals require NodeMailer. And then we're going to grab the environment variables from the process. So do a little bit of destructuring. We want mail host, mail port, mail user, mail pass, and they're going to be coming off of that. Now let's create the transport. NodeMailer dot create transport, and then inside that there's going to be an object. The host is going to be mail host. The port is going to be, you guessed it, mail port. And the authorization user, mail user, and pass mail pass. And I realized left a comma there and a comma there. Cool. And of course that's supposed to be mail port, not mail user. And now the rest is just putting the email together. So let's go down to joke and let's create the HTML template. And this is going to be a super basic template. It's not going to look real great, but it'll get the job done. So let's add an H1. We'll say joke of the day. And then we'll add a paragraph tag. And we'll put in here joke dot value, which of course you remember is being referenced down here. So that's the HTML tag. Now let's send the email with our transport object. So let info equals await transport dot send mail, and that's going to take an object. There's going to be a from, and this is just a who is it coming from? So we're going to say it's coming from Chuck Norris in quotes, followed by a email address. Okay, so sender address, oops, comma, sender address, two S's? Two S's. There's going to be a 2. This doesn't, I mean, we can send it to whoever, but we're catching it with mail trap, so it doesn't matter whatsoever. List of receivers. The subject is going to be daily joke. Subject line. And then we're passing the HTML that we created earlier. And go ahead and give that a save. And now if we invoke local one more time, we will see it pop up. It's going to take a little bit longer this time. And if we go check out our mail trap, there should be one new email in there. Joke of the day, Chuck Norris is watching you as you read this joke. If you want to end it quickly, don't turn around. And that's it. We've just sent an email from our computer across the internet to ourselves in an inbox. Pretty sweet, right? Obviously, there's more to expand on this, but I'm trying to keep these things short. So if you got any ideas about what you want to do, particular use cases, shoot me a message down below. And yeah, that's it. Happy coding.